And welcome to Barca News. It is June 12th, 2026, and Barcelona have assigned, or I should say, appointed a new CFO. I'm going to tell you who it is and what this means for the club. Also, Darwin Nunez on Barcelona's radar. And finally, the club have tied down the Egyptian Wonderkid Hamza Abdelkarim. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. Begin this video with great news because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have announced that they will be appointing a CFO, or a Chief Financial Officer, whose name is Sergio Serrano. Now, Sergio Serrano is an executive from Banco Sabadell. It's a big bank in Spain, so he's an executive from that bank that will now abandon his post from Banco Sabadell in order to join Barcelona as the club's CFO. He's an expert in restructuring debt, and this is very important. In fact, he helped the restructuring debt of Caja de Ahorros del Mediterráneo, which is a savings bank, a bank that had a lot of debt, and Sergio Serrano was part of that restructuring of that debt. So he's an expert in restructuring of debt, and this is incredibly important. Why? Well, for two reasons. Because first, Barcelona are in debt, so this is the clear one, and of course, the second one is the Espai Barça project, which is the project that will see the renovation of the Camp Nou, the Palau Blaugrana, and of course the surrounding areas, which is the campus that encompasses both stadiums. Now, as I told you before, Barcelona had borrowed 1.45 billion euros for the Espai Barça project. That money is already gone, and the stadium is not even done. The stadium has only had its first two rings renovated. We still need to finish renovating the third ring. We still need the building of the roof. The Palau Blaugrana, nothing has been done. It's absolutely untouchable. It has been untouched. And of course, the campus area has not been renovated. So of course, it means that we are way off budget. And in fact, it's expected that Joan Laporta, once he takes office, once he becomes president again in July, he will request from the socios the approval of another loan worth around 400 to 500 million euros in order to be able to complete the Espai Barça project, which will bring Barcelona's debt for the Espai Barça project to 2 billion euros. 2 billion euros. That's a lot of money to owe. So, of course, Barcelona have brought in Sergio Serrano, an expert in restructuring debt, so he can take a look at the Espai Barça project and hopefully help us restructure that debt and be able to pay it back. Now, of course, these 2 billion euros is aside from the 1.4 billion euros that Barcelona own for operation costs, which means that Barcelona will end up owing 3.4 billion euros. A lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very happy that Barcelona have brought in Sergio Serrano as the club's CFO to help the restructuring of this debt, to make sure that the club can pay back this debt and not be consumed by it. Now, this is very good news because, as you guys might recall, one thing I always criticized Joan Laporta was the fact that the first 2.5 years of his presidency, he really surrounded himself with experts, with very qualified people with lots of experience. And as such, he ended up doing wonderful things, including the Spotify deal, cutting down the club's expenses, increasing the club's income, signing sponsorships, right? But after that, people started leaving. Around 33 executives quit, and Joan Laporta did not replace them. Instead, he surrounded himself with his friends and his buddies. And as a result, we saw the next 2.5 years of lots of mismanagement, lots of mistakes, lots of poor decisions on behalf of the president. And when Joan Laporta was reelected, I said, look, I really hope that Joan Laporta has learned from this presidency. I hope he looks back at the last 5 years and thinks, wow, when I surrounded myself with good people, I did amazing things. Then when I stopped doing that, well, I made a lot of mistakes. So I hope he really learns from that. And it looks like he has learned from that, right? Because he brought in a CEO, and now he has brought in a CFO. Very important, because it doesn't matter how talented you are, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how experienced you are. At the end of the day, one guy cannot do it all. and it takes a village, right? And if you want to run a club as big as Barcelona, it's important that you surround yourself with very talented people. So I'm glad that John Laporta is starting to do that again, bring in talented, experienced people into the club to help him manage it, because no one in the world, not a single person in the world, can run Barcelona on their own. So I'm very glad that John Laporta is doing this. Now, more good news, because ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have landed the Egyptian Wonderkid Hamza Abdelkarim, the 18-year-old Egyptian center forward with which Barcelona signed this winter transfer market on loan until the end of the season. Barcelona had an option to buy worth 1.5 million euros in the contract of the player. And well, it's my pleasure and honor to announce that Barcelona have activated that option to buy. They have paid the 1.5 million euros to Al Ahly. And now Hamza Abdelkarim will officially become a Barcelona player, not a loan, but a permanent Barcelona player until 2029. Now, right now, both clubs are finalizing the last bit of details. So the contracts are still not signed, but it's only a matter of hours, maybe a few days, until this becomes official. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona will be keeping Hamza Abdelkarim, who, by the way, has been called up by Egypt to the World Cup. In fact, he's going to wear the number 9 during this World Cup, a huge honor for the 18-year-old who's considered the brightest talent to come out of Egypt since Mo Salah. Huge promise here. Lots and lots of potential. And I think by Barcelona activating this option to buy is a win-win. I think either way the club wins. Either Hamza Abdelkarim lives up to his potential and becomes Barcelona's starting 9 in the future. Boom, we win. We just got a starting 9 for 1.5 million euros. That's a huge win. Or if he doesn't live up to the expectation, he doesn't become a number 9 for Barca, Barcelona could always sell him for profit, right? This guy's value is only going to continue to rise, especially if he does well in the World Cup. So even if he doesn't make it to the first team, I'm sure Barcelona could sell him for profit in the future. So it's a win-win. Either we get our future number 9 or we sell him for a lot of money. Either way, it's a win for the club. So I'm very happy about the fact that Barcelona have activated this option to buy. Now, speaking of center forwards, we're going to, of course, have to talk about Darwin Nunez, because he has now emerged on Barcelona's radar, and he is on Barcelona's list as a low-cost option. Now, as you know, Barcelona are in the market for a center forward. Hansi Flick has told Deco, I need a center forward, period. I need someone that can put up a lot of goals in order to make up for the departure of Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona's number 1 target is Julian Alvarez. Barcelona have made an offer for Julian to Atletico Madrid, which has gone unanswered. The player wants to come to Barca, but of course, if Atletico don't answer, well, there's not much we can do. Now, of course, Barcelona still want to sign Julian, but of course, they do have to look at other options in case that signing doesn't happen. Now, the list is long. There's a lot of players on there. Osimhen has offered himself. Vlahovic has offered himself. And now Barcelona adding Darwin Nunez to the list as an option D, E, F, something around there. Not a second option, not a third option. Definitely like a 4th, 5th, maybe 6th even option. Why? Because Barcelona look at this as kind of like a market opportunity. Darwin Nunez just rescinded his contract with Al Hilal. If you don't know what happened, Liverpool sold Darwin Nunez to Al Hilal. And then in February, Al Hilal signed Karim Benzema. And they had, I think there's a limit of 8 foreign players. You can only have up to 8 foreign players on your squad. Those 8 spots were already filled. So what Al Hilal did was drop Darwin Nunez. They took his registration in order to give it to Karim Benzema. That left Darwin Nunez without a registration, so without him being able to play for the rest of the season. So, of course, Darwin Nunez went to Al Hilal and said, what the hell, you signed me? I don't even have a registration. Like, okay, like I need to go. I need to leave. So Al Hilal, rescinding the contract of Darwin Nunez. So now he's a free agent. So Barcelona putting him on the list of a backup, in case, nothing works out. They could always consider signing him. Now, don't get me wrong, Darwin Nunez, good experience, knows how to combine with his teammates, things like that, making runs to the empty space. But as far as scoring, well, I think my dog has a better chance of scoring goals than this guy. So I really hope Barcelona don't sign him. But just know that he is on the list of very long list of center forwards that Barcelona could consider in case Julian Alvarez doesn't come. Now, of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Who would you sign? Would you sign Darwin Nunez? Let me know down below in the comment section. And really quick, speaking about center forwards, of course, I told you yesterday how Harry Kane's contract renewal is currently facing some obstacles at Bayern Munich. This, of course, is good news for Barcelona. Barcelona wanted to sign Harry Kane to begin with as the first option B. You know, if Julian Alvarez doesn't work, the next option is Harry Kane. But of course, when they reached out to him, he said, no, I want to stay at Bayern. So that option kind of died. But now his contract renewal has hit a snag. And now we know a little bit more details about why the snag is happening. Now, it seems that Harry Kane wants a new contract that guarantees him 3 more seasons at Bayern. Bayern only offering him 1+1. So this is kind of like what happened with Lewandowski, who was looking to renew with Bayern. Bayern were only willing to offer him 1 more season. He said no, so Barcelona went and swooped in and took him away. So this is kind of like what's happening now. Again, this doesn't mean that Harry Kane is going to come to Barca. This just means that for now, negotiations are not going as well for Kane and Bayern. So, of course, Barcelona keeping a close eye on this, because if there's the smallest chance of bringing Harry Kane to Barca, of course, Barcelona are going to pounce on it. So, for now, Barcelona is just watching. Again, this doesn't mean anything, but we'll have to wait and see what happens between Kane and Bayern Munich. Now, we'll end the last bit of news, because since we did mention Saudi when speaking about Darwin Nunez, we do have to talk about Marc Casado, who looks like will be leaving this summer transfer market. Of course, Casado wants to stay at Barcelona. He loves Barca. He wants to retire at Barca, but he's not getting the minutes that he needs, right? But he is only 22 years old. He needs to be playing. He's not getting the minutes at Barca, so now he's looking for minutes somewhere else. We've talked about how Real Betis are interested in him. There's some clubs in the Bundesliga, some clubs in the Premier League interested in him. And of course, Saudi Arabia, very, very interested in him. It's not looking like he prefers going there, but the news is that Jorge Mendes, who is the agent for both Marc Casado and for Joao Cancelo, has offered Barcelona the idea of including Casado in a swap deal for Cancelo, because as you know, Barcelona want to keep Cancelo. So kind of like a swap where Casado would go to Al Hilal. In exchange, Al Hilal would send us Joao Cancelo, which honestly I would think it would be a huge, terrible, horrible, horrendous mistake by Barcelona. Don't get me wrong, I want Joao Cancelo in the club. I think he did absolutely phenomenal this last few months. I think he should be the starter ahead of Balde for the next season. That way he can put some pressure on Balde to improve and then, you know, recoup and recover that spot. But I would not send Casado in exchange for Cancelo. I mean, Cancelo is at the end of his career. He's 32 years old, almost 33. Casado is 22 years old. Then this makes absolutely no sense to swap out a 22-year-old academy graduate for a Cancelo that's, you know, nearing the end of his career. And again, I want Cancelo at Barca, but not a Casado for a Cancelo deal. That's absolutely retarded. I would not do that whatsoever. If Al Hilal want Casado and Casado wants to go Al Hilal, fine. Let that be a separate deal. Let's sell it to them for 30, 40 million euros. After all, Saudi Arabia has paid some ridiculous amounts of money for some retarded-ass players. So if Casado wants to go Al Hilal, fine. Let's sell him for 30, 40 million euros and then negotiate the Cancelo deal separately. But a swap, absolutely not. But of course, I'm curious about you guys' thoughts. Let me know down below in the comment section. Would you trade Casado for Cancelo? Let me know. And with that, we're going to wrap up this video. I'm going to go live in a few more moments because there's more news to talk about. So stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Bizka Barça.